Hey everyone, Shane here with ROA Off-Road. Welcome to our exclusive dweller-only YouTube channel. We're super excited about this new channel. If you are interested in buying a dweller, if you've been looking at dwellers, or if you already own a dweller, you're going to want to be on this channel because we're going to be giving out a lot of information, how-to, tips, tricks, and just pretty much how to operate things. We'll even be doing some repair videos, some mod videos. So everything dweller, you're at the right place here. Thank you so much for watching. This video today is going to be about the monitoring system. I want to talk a little bit and dive in a little bit deeper on the monitoring system that the dweller offers you. And this is applicable to a 13, a dweller 13 or D13, a D15, which is what we're standing in front of, or a D19. Any dweller we have is going to have these systems. So let's dive right in right now. Okay, so here we are sitting at the little monitoring system right here, and this is standard in all of the dwellers. And I am going to be kind of going at this as a new time camper owner. So this video is going to be hopefully very helpful if you've never owned a camper, you don't know that much about campers. I think this will bring a lot of value to you. Even if you're not looking at dwellers, this is going to be applicable to any type of camper on the market. But I'm not going to go into like crazy details for one reason. I'm not some electrical engineer and I'll probably mess up on something, and you know the way YouTube works, you say one detail that's wrong, you get roasted. So what's really important, any camper out on the market, the monitoring system, what it monitors is your batteries. And your batteries is like the engine for your camper. So imagine like the engine of your car. It's what runs everything, right? And the monitoring system is like your fuel gauge, right? So can you imagine most trailers made in America have pretty much no fuel gauge, which is absurd, right? So right here we have our monitoring system, and this tells you two different things. It tells you your current voltage, which is 13.5. And you might be wondering, what in the world does that mean? Now, the dweller stock comes with AGM batteries, and they're 12-volt batteries. And I don't want to get you too confused, but it all depends on the battery. There's some variations between lithium, between AGMs, lead acid. Every battery's voltages could be a little bit different, and it's the manufacturer specs it that way. But on this particular trailer with these batteries, a full battery is going to be 12.7, 12.8 volts. And the way you're going to know if it's completely full, you turn off all the lights and you just let this monitor rest. And when it rests, it's gonna, if it's fully charged, if it's 100%, it's gonna be 12.8. The danger zone is 12, 11.9, 11.8. But really, once you see 12 volts, you know, oh my goodness, my battery's almost dead. So you might be like, what? That doesn't make sense. So from 12 to 12.8 is 100% down to dead? Yes, that's correct. So if you're 12.4, you can kind of say I'm halfway left on my battery capacity, right? So that gives you a little bit it doesn't drop down that fast, right? It's the full battery bank is dropping slowly, so you're not going to see these numbers drop drastically. Now, if you have all the lights on, it will pull an immediate charge, and that won't give you a correct reading. So you want to make sure you turn everything off to get the correct reading. So right now we're reading 13.5. You'll be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You just said 12.8 is fully charged. That is correct. So anytime you see your voltage above 12.8, you know, 13 to 13.5, 13.8, whatever it is, that means you are getting a charge to your batteries. So anything above 12.8 means you're getting a charge. Now it's going to be different. Sometimes you'll see 13.5, sometimes you'll only see 13. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get into too crazy detail, but you have float, you have absorption, and you have bulk charge, right? 13.5 and above is going to be bulk charge, right? It means your batteries are pretty low. And so whether you're plugged in to a power source or whether the solar's doing its job, it's going to be pumping as much power as it can into the system. And that's bulk charge. It's just like, think about a big bodybuilder bulking up, right? It's giving you the most power possible. Float is going to be kind of like, it's like a trickle charger, right? you just get a little bit of charge. But that means your batteries are at, 90 to 100%, and it doesn't need a lot of power. So you're just gonna see the voltage up maybe at 13 volts, and that's okay. Because some people get scared when they're like, oh, I'm not getting 13.5, or I'm only getting 13. It's like, well, that's where you're, if you turn everything off, your batteries are probably sitting around, 12.7, 12.8, and that means your batteries are pretty much topped off, and it doesn't need much power at that moment in time. Another cool thing about the dwellers that you don't see on many trailers is it also has your current amp usage. So right now we have some lights in the trailer on. If I turn these lights off, you can see immediately I just dropped down to 1.6 amps. And now you might be confused and you might be like, now wait, you're talking volts, now you're talking amps. I don't want to get get you too confused, but the dweller has 3 100 amp hour batteries. An AGM battery, you can only discharge 50%. So you have 300 amps, but you really actually only have 150 usable amps. So you're gonna take this 1.6 and divide it by 150. If this sounds confusing, just rewind it and rewatch that. It shouldn't be too hard, but 3 batteries, they're 100 amp hour batteries. It's not a lithium, it's an AGM, so you can only use 50% of that battery. I'm gonna turn a light on right here, and I go from 1.6 up to 3. So you just do 150 divided by 3, and how many ever hours that is, you can expect your batteries to be working. But once again, we're also sitting at 13.4 volts, which means we're either plugged in or the solar's working, which means you're actually probably getting more power in than you're using, which is going to take me to the next part of this video. I want to talk about the solar charge controller, because there's something cool on the solar charge controller that you can monitor and you can see. So I'm currently using 3 amps, says I'm getting a charge according to this, but now let's go over and talk about the solar charge controller, because we can see exactly how many amps we're getting right now from the sun. Let's go check it out. Okay, moving over to the Adventure Solar Charge Controller. Once again, I don't want to get into crazy depth, but I do want to give some value for those first-time owners, right? If you've never owned a camper, you may not know all of this information. In a camper, like I mentioned earlier, your engine is the battery system, right? Your monitoring system is like a fuel gauge. Now you may say, that's great, so where's the fuel, right? How do I get fuel into my batteries? There's 2 ways to get fuel into your batteries. One is by plugging it into a power source. That power source can come from multiple places, a generator or an actual plug. The other way to fill up your batteries with power or energy or fuel is your solar panels. And this does have standard 300 watts of solar on the roof, which is really cool. So now we have a way to actually monitor that solar panel, that power that's coming to you. It's much cooler than fuel because you pay for fuel. Solar is just coming from the sun. Now, the way it works is the sun hits the solar panels. And obviously, the sun doesn't actually send electricity waves down to us. Otherwise, we'd be walking around getting electrocuted, right? That would not be fun. So it sends it down onto the panels, and the panels collect that energy from the sun, but it has to convert it. Once again, I'm not an electrical engineer, so sorry if I'm like butchering this to some degree, but for the first-time RV owner or somebody that just wants to understand these systems better, I like to keep it basic. So that sun comes down through the panels, and it comes down to what is called a solar charge controller. And what that does is it takes the energy and it converts it or regulates it and puts it into usable energy that then transfers that energy into your batteries, and it fills up your batteries with power or fuel, whatever you want to call it. So this monitoring system, we've had trailers in the past. Every solar system and battery, anything with a solar system has to have a solar charge controller. That's the only way to get the power from the sun through the panels down to batteries. So you have to have solar charge controllers. There are cheap solar charge controllers, there's expensive solar charge controllers. We had a trailer a while ago that it had the solar charge controller, but it did not have any way to monitor the battery system, which was kind of silly because people would always ask us, hey, how do I know if my solar's working? And it's like, you really don't. I mean, you can pull out a voltmeter and go check the lines coming in from the panels to see if it's bringing in solar. Then you got to check it on the other side to make sure the actual electricity or the power is coming through. It's all silly and complicated. Like, it's unnecessary. This solar charge controller actually has a little display on the front of it, and you can actually push through these displays and you can get different readings. As I mentioned earlier, that amp reading on the next to the door, that said we were using 3 amps per hour. And you had to divide that by 150 to find out how much life you have until your batteries are dead. What's really cool about this is on the solar charge controller, you can go through here and you can actually see your kilowatt hours and it can see your amps. And right now we're getting close 5. It's kind of going up and down between 5 and 6 amps. So what that means is we're actually gaining power while we're sitting here using our lights, right? Because our readout over there was saying we're draining our batteries by 3 amps per hour, but the solar charge controller is saying the solar is putting 6 amps per hour into your batteries. So you're actually not losing anything. If anything, we're actually gaining power. So, you know, if we use power during the night when there's no solar and our batteries got drained, you could wake up in the morning and still use lights and power and be charging your batteries back up because of the solar system. Because right now where we're at, we're getting power into the battery even though we have the lights on. Now, if you go out for a hike and you turn off all your lights, then we're gonna be using 0 amps and you're gonna be getting 6 amps into your battery. And it's the same thing, do the calculation, right? You have 150 amps, how many amps? You do that, multiply it, and that's how long it will take you to charge your batteries back up to full. So it's really nice to have this. This also has some other features in it, like tells you your temperature of your batteries, tells your actual voltage that you're pulling from the sun. But the thing that I use this the most for is just to see the amps that I'm bringing in, because I want to kind of calculate and say, okay, if I'm using this many amps, I'm getting this many amps, I'm fine. I've been on, I think 10-day trip is the longest trip I've done. Well, actually, I think it was closer to 2 weeks. We went to Baja, you know, traveling there and through Baja and back. It's close to 2 weeks, and I never ran out of battery at all. And we were living in it pretty much the whole time. We did end up going to some campgrounds and plugged in here and there and ran the AC. But like, I was watching the monitoring system and I was always getting more solar in to charge my batteries than power that I was using going out of the batteries. And so this trailer really, it's all dependent upon the user, but it really has the ability to go off grid and you never have to worry about batteries unless you're trying to like run coffee pots, and then you're going to end up using a lot. We did use actually a hot pot because my wife loves tea, and so we did heat up some tea here and there. And once again, never really actually went through. I also had a little refrigerator plugged in where I was cooling things down. An inside fridge we have. So you can definitely use more and more stuff, but we did really, really well with the power system. And it's really nice to be able to monitor it and see how it works and, you know, kind of know what's going on. And this is the value that Dweller is putting in their campers. They're not just putting in, you know, the cheapest solar charge controller. Now this is not the top shelf solar charge controller, but it gives you some basic readouts and it works very well. It's not the most efficient solar charge controller, but it is efficient and it works very well. It is a Renogy, and the panels are Renogy. The inverter is Renogy. All the components and everything is Renogy, and so they all communicate really well. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this brought some value to you. If you have any questions, make the comments below and we can reply and respond to your questions. If there's something you want to see on a Dweller, you have this question, and if you own a Dweller, if you're looking at owning a Dweller, let us know below and we will respond to your comments, or we'll make a video for you. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you're on the Dweller only channel, go check out our other main YouTube channel. That's the YouTube channel where we do all kinds of stuff. Adventures, roamer adventures. We take trailers off-roading and test them. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff over there. So go check out that channel. It's ROA Off-Road, or RVs of America. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.